Welcome to pre-security demo. On the left-hand side is the globe spinning, indicating malicious event happened to the geolocation IP that is registered by the logs going to the platform. And then on the right-hand side is a predicted risk radar, where the events closer to the middle of the circles contribute to the higher risk score. For example, improper neutralizations of input leaders contribute 94% of the predicted event that was proven to happen. And further away from the middle of the circles are the events with less risky level, like a potential security threats, contribute only 60% of the risk level. In the middle, you will notice there are logs that is being converted to the natural language that being processed here. For example, a net flow has been processed to convert into the natural language, and it makes reading much more easy to understand the context of these logs. In the middle, there are asset predictions, user detections, asset predictions, and also user predictions. Further down, there are top 10 of the host event that's detected, and also the relevant logs that is being ingested in the platform are now detected by the top security tools and highlight in this dashboard. Once the data are inside the platform, you can go to observations and look at the SIEM data. Under the SIEM data, you can look at all the logs that's being stored in the platform and being processed to natural log processing. I can sort the data based on the timestamps. For example, I'm interested to look at the early times from March onwards. I'm interested in this event because it has an anomaly score of 100. If I open this logs data here, I can validate that this original log message are coming from McAfee Web Gateway with the source IP address, relevant machine names, and also the destination goals. These entire raw logs are being converted to a natural language, and it will look like this when you convert them to a natural language logs. It means that now the logs are easy to read and understand by any stock analyst and determine the next set of actions. You can also view the events using JSON format and look at all the events here. Now, once the data are ingested by pre-security and converted to natural log language, the detection will occur immediately. Here, let's look at an example of one of the asset detections here. When I click on the asset detections, you can see numerous correlated logs, asset IP, and the risk score relevant to the respective logs. For example, I'm interested in this event, 85% of the risk score. I can click the auto triage here, and it will display this detections is a multiple suspicious network activity based on 10 different log sources that we correlated, and we give you a summary of the event with a detailed log analysis and also the recommendations for executions. If you want, you can also trigger the SOAR GPT to execute the recommended actions. Now, if you think that this detection is inaccurate and you need to validate manually, you can always go back to the SIEM data, look at the 10 different log sources here to determine these events, and then you can do the manual triage here. All the 10 logs that we triage together and produce this detection activity is coming from firewalls, your IDS, Windows, and etc. You can also look at the applicable threat intelligence that we apply to these detections, the detection history, as well as you can update the cases here by putting the notes there. After the detections has been dealt with, we may look at the next predictions. The predictions can be in form of the user predictions, asset predictions, or environment. Let's take a look at the asset predictions. Here, we are presenting the risk score of the events prone to happen. For example, I may take one of the event on the third one, the SQL injections, and I can do the auto triage here as well. These events is predicting there is a SQL injection prone to happen. And this predicted event is a consensus predictions. That means we consulted 4 different models or 4 different experts to do the predictions and analyze for you and come with a consensus. The models of the predictions are from the Markov model predictions. They're saying that SQL injection is about to attack. From MITRE framework, it's a known vulnerability exploit. a logging marketing framework, say this is a phishing email, and a SOC expert analytics prediction, this is the SQL injection attack. With these 4 different prediction models, we give a consensus that based on the Markov and SOC expert, it's likely going to be a SQL injection attacks with a high probability and 85% of the score. There are 111 logs that we correlate to make these predictions. You may also validate the SIM data here for all 100 different logs and confirm that this is a SQL injections. Again, you can look at the threat intel applicable to these predictions, prediction histograms, and also managed cases. When all the data in the platform where you can view them from observations, reproduce the detections, and also the predictions for the event that's prone to happen, now you can interact with the data using a SOC GPT, similar to your chat GPT that you've been using. So you can make a hello questions to make sure the system is operating and the system will respond you respectively. Now you can maybe ask for some short questions. For example, show me the top 5 alerts for last 24 hours. The system will promptly respond to the events and give you a summary of the top 5 events that we detected. Maybe, for example, I am interested to find out what other event is coming from this IP address. Now I can say what happened on this host 192.166.1.150 in the last 24 hours. Now I can see more security events relevant to this host and give you all the anomalies and detections that we have in the platform. Once you have interacted with the platform and get to know the malicious event detected by the platform or predicted events that are about to happen, you can now trigger the response or mitigation using the Source GPT. Now, this is an early access to the Source GPT. You can, for example, write a Python script using REST API to block an IP 1234 from my FortiGate firewall. With that instructions, now the Source GPT will generate the RESTful API commands, which you can copy and paste, edit it, and instruct the system to run it. This will allow you to add an IP address to the firewall to block it, and that will eventually mitigate the issues. After you mitigate the firewall and blocking the IP address, you may want to validate that the particular IP address is blocked, or maybe there is a vulnerability or port that's open facing your internet. You may want to validate it using a breach simulation attack. Here, let's introduce a breach GPT and early access program. You can do multiple simulation attacks. For example, if I have patched my firewall to block port 80, then I can perform a vulnerability scan using breach GPT and ensure the port is blocked. For example, I can instruct the system to do a full vulnerability scan for my domain, which is presecurity.ai, and let the system do the nmap run and scan the platform to make sure the port 80 is closed by my firewall. So the system is detecting a presecurity.ai is a domain. It will run mass scan, OpenBS, and a burp suite as well. So here's what the system will run. It will trigger a mass scan using the built-in Kali Linux tools in the platform and perform the vulnerability scan. Now the event will run on the right-hand side. All the tasks will continuously running. And once the process is finished, you can view the output there. It will take a while before the scan is complete and display the results here. So Necto has complete. You can view the output and get the output from the Necto in the browser here. The system will take the analysis and output from Necto and provide the reports here. to suggest the next steps and recommendations. Once the Nmap is complete as well, it will display the output and produce the analysis into this platform. Now all the tasks is completed, you can view the output of the Nmap, and it will display the results, whether your port 80 is still open or closed. It will be displayed in this result and follow together with the analysis from the platform to propose the next steps and recommendations.